Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. You're joined by myself, Mark, and Reece alongside me. We just finished FP1 in the final race weekend of 2023 season here in Abu Dhabi. Now, our top three, very interesting. All Mercedes-powered cars and a rookie in the top three at the end of that session.
Well, no, not Mercedes-powered cars.
No, sorry.
There was Mercedes-powered cars and a Honda. So our top three for this FP1 session was George Russell in first place, Felipe Drugovich then in second, and Daniel Ricciardo in third. Very, very interesting session. We had a lot of rookies running out there today, and it was very, very interesting. A lot of snaps of oversteer that we saw from, I think, 5 or 6 or 7 drivers in that final corner. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see what the rest of the grid are going to be able to do throughout this entirety of the Practice 2 session today, coming up later, as well as Practice 3 tomorrow.
Indeed. So let's just go through the final list here. Of course, George Russell in Mercedes in first, Felipe Drugovich second, Daniel Ricciardo in third, Valtteri Bottas in his Alfa Romeo in fourth, Lance Stroll only down in fifth compared to his teammate Felipe Drugovich, who's up in second, Oscar Piastri sixth, Carlos Sainz and Robert Schwartzman those Ferraris seventh and eighth, Pierre Gasly in the Alpine ninth, Yuki Tsunoda in 10th position for AlphaTauri as well. So Daniel Ricciardo significantly beating his teammate there.
Yes, I was going to say that is a massive, massive difference from Daniel Ricciardo down to Yuki Tsunoda. It's about a 0.3 difference between those two drivers. Other than that, who else was your standout in that top 10? I think
that's Drugovich. It has to be Drugovich. Yeah. But Drugovich and Ricciardo is brilliant. I'm not really too surprised about the rest of it because, you know, a lot of the main...
Piastri we expect to be pretty fast out there in the McLarens. So, yeah. So
I'm not too surprised. The rest of it's more Drugovich and the Aston Martin. Good to see they've got pace there. It's a big battle between them and McLaren as well because if Aston Martin can get quite a few points in the race this weekend, they can actually top McLaren because they were beating McLaren throughout most of the season. Of course, McLaren had that big bounce back, eventually overtaking them in recent weeks for the points. Mercedes are still only Aston Martin are only 11 points behind McLaren. So if they get quite a few more points in the race the weekend, they could still beat them.
Yes.
So there's two constructors battles we're looking at: Mercedes and Ferrari, as well as Aston Martin and McLaren.
As well as, I think the Williams are also fighting with AlphaTauri this weekend for the Constructors.
Sure.
Because I remember Yuki Tsunoda saying that they'd like to beat the Williams and the Constructors this weekend to give a good send-off to their team boss, Fred.
France Tost, yes.
France Tost, that's who it was. I almost said Fred Vasseur. Very, very interesting to see. But to make our way through the bottom 10, Logan Sargent then in P11. He was up in P2 at one point, having a good day out in that Williams seat. I'm looking forward to seeing what Alex Albon can do in that second practice session this afternoon. Frederic Vessi also having a good day, but quite far down on his teammate George Russell. 0.7 down in the same car on the same set of tyres. Jack Doohan then in 13th in the Alpine technical chair and 14th in the Alfa Romeo. Patricio Award in 15th in McLaren. Jake Dennis and Isaac Hadja 16th and 17th in the Red Bull powered cars. Zach O'Sullivan in the Williams in 18th, Kevin Magnussen and Oliver Behrman then round off our bottom 20 in those two Haas's.
Yeah, the Haas is not looking very quick today. So also interesting to note when we talk about those battles between AlphaTauri and Williams for the constructors there, the Williams cars not going around as quick as the AlphaTauri's. AlphaTauri is quite a bit quicker than them in this session.
Having brought major updates and upgrades in the past 5 races.
Yeah, so great to see from them. So what an interesting session we did have there. And very, very keen to see what will happen in FP2 when we get all of our regular drivers back. Our regular drivers will be in those cars. And I think it's more the Red Bull drivers that we want to have a look at in terms of how quick they will be, because we didn't see it from those rookie drivers. But another interesting thing to note in that session was the incident there between
Jack Doohan and Logan Sargent.
Yeah.
Yes, Logan Sargent was preparing for a hot lap. He was loitering on the racing line in the final corner. Jack Doohan doing a push lap just saw him at the last second, was able to avoid him, but he shouldn't have had to do that in the first place.
I think it's a blind corner. That's the problem with it. She's come round at high speed. Of course, it's a high-speed corner as well. And it's come round, and there's a car sitting there almost at snail's pace there, and does very well to avoid it.
Pretty much.
I know it was very, very close to being a big incident there. And so they are going to be investigating it now. So we'll see what happens between now and the race on Sunday as to whether that will result in a penalty for Logan Sargent. Logan Sargent even apologizing in the car immediately after that in terms of giving him a wave, saying sorry about that. And then later on, saying, no, actually, it wasn't really my fault anyway, but, whatever. So we'll see what happened. They also noticed right at the end of the session another incident between Isak Hadja and Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll also just chilling on the racing line.
In a much more dangerous situation because he was at the end of that first DRS straight and Isak Hadja was on a push lap as well, but he was really right in the middle of that braking zone. So very, very dangerous from those two drivers of Logan Sargent and Lance Stroll in the session. And they have been noted for driving erratically, and we could get some penalties for them.
Exactly.
Maybe some monetary penalties, possibly some grid drop penalties.
Yeah, so we've got FP2 coming up in a bit later on this today, and we'll see what happens then with all of our regular drivers back. And again, we'll see what Lewis Hamilton can do. If George Russell's doing so well in that Mercedes, will Lewis Hamilton do as well? George Russell certainly setting the precedent for the rest of the drivers this weekend. The 125s and 124s look likely. I'm sure we'll see 125s closer to the 124s in the FP2 session. It's a little bit cooler in the day. But great driving from him. And let us know in the comments, guys, of course, what you thought of this practice session. TC saying, please tell me Mercedes have the pace. Well, right now, George Russell seemingly has it. Percy also just saying, I usually like Logan, but what happened today just wasn't it in terms of, I suppose, ethical drivers sportsmanship, I suppose. He was very much on the racing line, could have caused a big incident there. Needs to be more aware, of course. So before we end off here, what are your final thoughts on that session?
Well, of course, very exciting to see the future of motorsports in this session. A lot of young drivers and showing their best foot forward, especially Felipe Drugovich. I think he needs to be put into that team. If Lance Stroll is not able to do better than a rookie in a free practice one session, I think that says something. Yeah,
I think Felipe Drugovich has been putting his name up there in Formula One for a little while now, and he certainly looks like he could be the next Rubens Barrichello or
Felipe Massa.
Yeah, or Felipe Massa. I'm not putting his name in the same sort of sentence though as Senna, but certainly think he could be an F1 driver very, very soon. Looks the part, certainly knows how to handle that car quite well. That's my takeaway from that session. Of course, we're looking forward to FP2 later on. That'll be on Forever Sports, so be sure to subscribe to that channel and watch for that. This has been Forever Motorsports, though. I've been Mark. Reece has been alongside me. Shout out to our channel sponsors, BitDefender and BOYLESPORTS as well. Go and check them out in the description. And
BitDefender having a Black Friday special today, so do be sure to go and check that out. As I'm sure all of you guys are also doing your Black Friday shopping, as all of us are.
Yeah, so go and check that out in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching this pre-practice one review here on Forever Motorsports. Cheerio.